It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
That's caught! Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score! He would not be denied!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Sponsored by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon. Welcome on into Cougar Sports Saturday here on February 7th. First show of the program in the month of February. And let me just say, I don't love these times right now for BYU basketball as the Cougars are currently reeling, but it's a game day and there's another opportunity to get back on the winning side of things and to get that signature win as the Cougars get ready for an all-Cougar matchup tonight against number 8 Houston. Tip-off tonight at the Marriott Center, 8:30 p.m. against the Cougs of Houston and Clutch City. And BYU 16th-ranked Cougars are looking to end a 3-game losing streak, losers of 4 of their last 5. These are tough times for BYU basketball. Mitch Harper here with you. Kyle Ireland, we're here at Broadcast House in Salt Lake City. And Kyle, BYU falls earlier this week 99-92 against Oklahoma State. Man, this team is going through it right now.
Yeah, losing 4 of their last 5 games. This BYU team, they have a lot of problems that are appearing as the competition has ramped up a little bit in Big 12 play here, Mitch. Part of me wonders, is this really just this BYU team? Is this who they are? Because you look at the beginning stretch of the season where we're like, wow, they're on a roll, you know. They've kind of done this thing where they've fallen behind double digits, 20 points against good teams, and then they're able to fight back in the second half, not able to ultimately make those comebacks complete. So there's talent there, but they keep on finding themselves in the same situation. Slow starts, 2 out of the 3 of the big 3 appear for a game, but then, there's a third guy that doesn't have his best performance. And then the lack of a bench is just so apparent for this team now. Dawson Baker, his absence can't be understated, in my opinion. And I think that, when you're giving up 99 points to Oklahoma State on the road, like just that defensive performance alone, it's going to be hard to win a lot of games in the Big 12 when you're kind of playing like that.
Well, and that defense was awful on Wednesday night in Stillwater. 58 points allowed in the second half to the Pokes. And the thing is with BYU right now is that, I hate that they're wasting away a great A.J. DeBonsa game. 36 points for the star freshman. He did start the game with 4 turnovers, which you don't like. He ends up with 5 turnovers. Rob Wright had another 5, 10 turnovers between 2 of the big 3. But you don't want to waste great games from A.J. DeBonsa because you only have so many games left with that guy before he becomes a face of the NBA. And you don't want to look back and go, man, we didn't take advantage of those opportunities when he was on the floor. But, I just think that this BYU team right now, it reminds me a little bit of last season where there was a lull in the dog days of the season where they lose back-to-back games against Arizona and Cincinnati, and it felt like at that moment all is lost. And I think there's a lot of Cougar fans looking at right now this team saying all is lost with this group. And the problem, though, that I have with this team compared to last year is that the ceiling was super high with this team, and it still could be. I mean, it's still a lot of basketball left to be played, but it feels like losses at Oklahoma State lower that ceiling. And now it becomes a conversation. Instead of being one of the best teams in college basketball, you're now saying, let's just hope they get hot in March and maybe can get to the second weekend. That shouldn't be the conversation with the top end of this roster having A.J. DeBonsa, Rob Wright, Richie Saunders. You should be, in the conversation for a 2 seed and a 3 seed. And look, you still have chances with what the schedule in the Big 12 provides you. But again, when you lose to Oklahoma State, who's a middle-of-the-road team in this league, and a good one, solid team, not bad, but just solid, every game now suddenly could be an L in this conference. And that's what raises real concerns about this team because it doesn't feel like there's an easy fix on the lineup or in the rotation that suddenly cures all of BYU's ills right now.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I look at when I'm just looking at the schedule in totality so far, Mitch, is this team really doesn't have that really good signature win when you look back at the slate. And they've got 4 ranked matchups coming down the stretch here. Obviously, number 8 Houston tonight. You know, they win the game tonight at Houston, and all of a sudden things change quite a bit for this BYU team. You feel like you got the momentum back. It's a good ranked win, best win of the season to that point. They just need something good to break their way. Had they won, that Arizona game or completed that comeback against UConn, I think you feel a little bit different because then you can at least go, hey, on the resume, we have that. What do you have right now? You got Clemson. You've got Villanova at the beginning of the season. Wisconsin was a ranked team when you beat them, but it's like those games, I think, lack a little bit of the luster that they had when they took place.
You've got quality losses. And I know that's an annoying
love it.
That's an annoying thing on football, but that does apply to BYU here because the teams that BYU has lost to until Wednesday night were all pretty much top 25 teams. And then Oklahoma State, that was the one loss where you point to and say, not too pretty. But when you get deep in the weeds, you could say, oh, it was quad 1, and it was quad 1 road game. But still, if you were losing to that Oklahoma State team who got pretty much hammered against the elite teams in the Big 12. They were down 30, Oklahoma State was, to Iowa State at halftime just 2 weeks ago in Stillwater. They were losing by double figures to all of the upper crust teams in the Big 12. And again, that's where it's like, yes, it's quad 1, and it really doesn't hurt you much in terms of NCAA tournament and things like that. But it's also just a sign of suddenly every game on the road feels like no guaranteed wins on the road. And then anyone that's an upper tier team in the Big 12, you're probably going to be an underdog. And that's, again, not the conversation we should be having about this team that has so much promise. I do believe Kevin Young can get this fixed. And I do believe when you've got 3 legit superstars, you can turn this thing around because the nice thing that you've got with this group is that they can always get you 70 points. The problem, though, now is that it feels like you need at least 35 or 40 from AJ to win games. That's concerning. You almost need 80 points from the Big 3 to win any sort of game now because you're getting nothing from Keba Keita offensively. That rim rolling stuff just not happening right now. You're not getting much from Kennard Davis. Hopefully he had a couple knockdown threes against Oklahoma State, and you hope that can continue, but it's not consistent enough to the point where you can say confidently you're going to get it. And then on the bench, I don't know what you turn to. I think Mihailo Boskovic has had moments where he's looked pretty good in stretches of games. I think Hadim Boop has done a nice job. He's had back-to-back games knocking down threes. There's just not much pop on that bench right now that you feel like, if you want to make a lineup change, because I think a lot of people have talked about that, and Kevin Young has expressed that, he's open to that. He's explored it, but he doesn't feel like he's going to make that change. They did it against Oklahoma State. Is Hadim Boop going to the 4, have AJ at the 3? Is that the recipe for success for BYU? Maybe, because then Hadim Boop gives you more intensity on the defensive end and maybe more aggressiveness on the glass early on to weather an early run from an opponent to open the gates. But, what about the offensive firepower? Because I do believe Kennard Davis, from an offensive standpoint, can give you he's going to have open looks. I mean, that's the frustrating thing with this team right now is when you got guys like AJ DeBonsa and Rob Wright, they are going to find the open man. You've got to knock down the shots. And Kennard Davis, you're not doing it consistently enough. And this team doesn't consistently enough hit threes. They had 13 threes against Oklahoma State, yet it's still not good enough. That's what's frustrating with this team is that the defensive end has been really struggling, and the offense is just not consistent enough outside of the Big 3.
No, absolutely. I mean, 12 bench points total combined in the last 2 games for BYU. It's just not going to get it done, Mitch. To barely have double-digit points across 2 games
and
for your bench?
9 felt like an offensive explosion.
Oh, you were like,
bench.
Oh my goodness, after 3 against Kansas. Yeah, I mean, the performance that you're getting from the back end of that rotation is just not good enough. It's simply just not good enough. And then you're putting so much pressure on those Big 3. I mean, think about Moo. Like, I understand why he's probably feeling a little bit of the pressure because there's nobody else. And so he's got to, live up to that. It was nice to see him have a good performance a couple games ago, but it's just not consistent to your point.
And then on top of all of this, there were clearly chants on the television, and Kevin Young addressed those, saying he was disappointed in hearing bleep the Mormon chants. And look, Oklahoma State fans, I've seen the claims on message boards and social media. They're saying it was a chant of refs a Mormon. Okay, if that was the chant, do you really hear yourself right now? Imagine insert that chant with the word Catholic or Jew. Does that really fly? Like, again, why are we throwing out the terms of someone's faith and religion out there in any sort of chant? And I don't think Kevin Young's going to go out there and say he's hearing these chants when it supposedly didn't happen, according to Oklahoma State fans. But again, stop chanting to these schools. Please stop using the word Mormon. Don't attack people based on their religion. Don't attack people based on the way they look, their ethnicity, their beliefs. If you want to say AJ's overrated, go for it. No one's opposed to that. You want to go in and say BYU, bleep BYU, no one's opposed to that. But when you start attacking someone's religion, give me a break. Like, it's just getting old, and I'm really curious to see the investigation that the Big 12 is currently undertaking. What leads to that? Do you impose a penalty where it's like in football, like when they say with Texas Tech, if they throw the tortillas, it's going to be a 15-yard penalty? Do you impose something in basketball where it's like almost like a flagrant foul, where it's free throws and possession? I don't know, because I don't know what the right answer is. You just hope that there's some decency in society where we say, you know what, let's stop chanting against someone's a school's religion and use that as some cool chant. Let's end that, please.
Yeah, Brett Yormark's got to put the hammer down if they come out of this investigation and there's the evidence that they need to be able to make a decision in that direction. It's just uncalled for, like you said. And I think that what we saw earlier in the football season when Colorado was penalized, that was a slap on the wrist, Mitch. Yep. It was a slap on the wrist, and Brett Yormark, if this continues to happen under his leadership, he's got to take it to another level. Like, at some point, you've got to have a penalty where these schools are afraid for their fan base, student sections to be able to do these things. At least Texas Tech, their coaches from, basketball and football at each of their games, was proactive before the game to try and mitigate that. But even still, like these other games, we aren't seeing that at every Big 12 venue.
Cincinnati, it happened. Last year, it happened in basketball. And then fast forward to this year in football, Arizona's head coach set the tone for the week. It's like, hey, please be respectful.
Right.
I don't want to see this with any religion. If Baylor rolls into a venue, I don't want to see someone saying bleep Baptist. It's just, let's leave religion. I know BYU is a magnet for conversation about its faith, and they want that. Like, it's a great ambassador for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but please don't attack some of a faith. I've never understood that. I would never feel comfortable chanting something about someone's religion. No one's perfect. I get that. I've always said, too, college is an opportunity for students to educate and learn and get better. And this probably be maybe an opportunity to reflect and just say, we're not going to do that again. And Oklahoma State's president issued a statement. Doesn't align with their values, but I think BYU is pretty strong. They're going to move forward. They're going to keep playing games, but it's just weird that it always happens. Like, it's just, there's always these chants that come up about something Mormons. And it's like, if you really want to go next level with your chants, maybe go Latter-day Saints. If you're really going to go, again, don't do that. But, we're not even called Mormons anymore. Anyway, let's take our first time out. BYU basketball, again, looks to end the losing streak coming up tonight against Houston. We'll take our first time out. Let's move to football as the Cougars wrapped up signing day and are pivoting now to all attention for the 2026 football season. We'll talk football next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.